Quick message to guys on the autism spectrum. You've heard of fighting for things that are important to you, right? Your wife is fighting because you're important to her, but you're missing the second part. You just view it as fighting.
So autism is no respecter of persons any more than Hurricane Ian was a respecter of people in Fort Myers Beach, Florida, for example. It doesn't respect the person who has autism. It doesn't respect the person who's married to the person who has autism. It's been around for a long time, allegedly a few hundred years, and a lot of people suspect that it's been around since day one. So it's not going anywhere, not anytime soon. It is what it is. Don't take it personally any more than you would take Hurricane Ian personally. Well, I can't believe that hurricane just happened to tear down my house. I'm taking that as a personal affront. Hurricane wasn't concerned about you, wasn't thinking about you. It had nothing to do with you. Now, having said that, you can still feel the pain associated with being involved in the event, on the receiving end of maybe a meltdown from your autistic husband, on the receiving end of storms that tear up your house. So I'm not saying you're not affected by it, but I am saying that it is something that exists in the universe, and you can either fight it or accept it. But if you fight it, it always wins.
So, message to neurodiverse couples out there. If your spouse is complaining about something that you said or did, and then you complain about the fact that they're complaining, you're no better than they are. If your spouse is yelling or giving you the silent treatment, and then you get upset and yell back or give them the silent treatment, you're no better than they are. If your spouse is having a temper tantrum, and then you get upset and have a tantrum because they're having a tantrum, you're no better than they are. So why don't you be the one that can regulate his or her emotions? Why don't you be the more mature one? So if you're resentful just because your spouse is resentful, you're in the same rabbit hole that he or she is in. And if you're angry because your spouse is angry, you're in the same rabbit hole that he or she is in. And if you're offended because your spouse is offended, same rabbit hole. Maybe don't follow that person down that rabbit hole. So one thing I hear from NT wives a lot, they go, well, it just seems so hopeless. You know, where's the hope? If you're talking about changing his behavior, you're right, it is hopeless. You should give up hope in that area. Yeah, give up hope trying to change him. That is hopeless. But there is hope in you changing your reaction to his behavior. So changing his behavior, that's hopeless. Changing your reaction to his behavior, there's all kinds of hope there. And for those NT wives that are still in denial, that someday he'll get it, someday he'll do better, someday he'll try harder, someday we'll be happy again. There's got to be hope there somewhere. So for those of you who still think that way, then do yourself a favor, get a calendar, get next year's calendar, and mark a year from today. So for example, if today is December 1st of 2022, which it's not, but then get a 2023 calendar, and on December 1st, write on the calendar, reality check. Okay? A year from now, on a calendar, write a little note to self, do a reality check. And the reality check is this: how much was I able to change his behavior over the course of the last year? Now, when your answer is, I didn't accomplish anything, in fact, my efforts made a bad problem worse, then maybe you'll start giving up hope of trying to change his behavior and find hope in changing your reaction to his behavior. Okay, so if your spouse does or says something that you download as being disrespectful, it hurts. We'll call it hurtful. But when you replay the event, now you're hurting you. Okay, so when you replay the original thing that happened once, but you've replayed it 15 times, it feels like it's happened 15 times, and then you blame your spouse for doing it to you for 15 times when it was only once. So yeah, we'll call the original event hurtful. Shouldn't have happened, it was wrong. But your replays, it's not the other person doing it to you then, now you're doing it to yourself. This is going to sound sarcastic. It's not meant to be. I'm actually telling you the truth. How does an ASD spouse show his love for his NT wife? He does things for her. How does the NT wife show her love for her autistic husband? She tries to fix him because she cares about the relationship. So he can fix the dishwasher, and for example, and that's how he shows his love. And she shows her love by saying, yeah, okay, well, thanks for fixing the dishwasher, and I'm going to continue to try to fix you because I care about you. The problem is he can always fix the dishwasher. You can never fix him. So I get this comment from NT wives a lot, and they say, well, my husband doesn't recognize he has anxiety. He says he doesn't have anxiety. Well, if he has ASD level 1, how is he going to know if he has anxiety? Because he's going to have some version of alexithymia, which means he's out of touch with his emotions. And if you've been anxious your entire life, how would you know whether you're anxious or not? It's like growing up in a dark room and you've lived in there for 40 years, and then somebody comes along and says, wow, your room is very dark. And you go, no, it's not dark. It's always been this way. This is familiar. This is how it's always been. Therefore, it must be normal. So he's not going to know whether he has anxiety or not. What does the autistic spouse want more than anything? To be given a word of appreciation from his NT spouse every once in a while to confirm that he's doing something right. What does the NT spouse want more than anything? For her autistic spouse to just spend time with her, not necessarily do anything for her per se. Quick message to the neurodiverse couples out there. Your complaining has gotten you nowhere. Nowhere. Hey guys, this is Mark, and I have a message to the neurodiverse couples out there. And I'm not referring to one particular spouse. This is for the NT spouse and the ASD spouse both. Chronic anger is resentment. That's point number 1. Chronic anger is resentment. Point number 2, chronic anger and resentment will cause physical health problems. Chronic anger and resentment will cause cancer in some cases, autoimmune disease, heart disease, high blood pressure, brain fog, and so on. That's point number 2. Point number 3 is really a question, and I want you to ask yourself, you're going to compare you to your spouse. Who is having the most physical health problems? You or the other party? And who seems to be the most resentful? And is the one who's having the most health problems also the one who's possibly the most resentful? Do some soul searching on that. You simply have to find some good in your spouse. I don't care how much this person has been misbehaving according to you, but he's got to be, or she has got to be doing something right. So you've got to find some good in your spouse somewhere. Otherwise, you're going to be very miserable. Tip for neurodiverse couples: you have wasted 80% of your time and energy trying to control the things you can't control. Now, there was 20% that you did spend time and energy on that you did control. But if you will stop wasting that 80% and apply a full 100% to the things that you can control, you'll be able to control them much more quickly and much more efficiently. You can fight or you can heal, but you can't do both at the same time. You can fight or you can heal both emotionally and physically, but you cannot do both at the same time. It's just that black and white. There is no gray area. If there's a lot of fighting, no healing. Moderate amounts of fighting, no healing. Just a little bit amount of fighting, no healing. Just thinking about fighting, we're not actually fighting, I'm just thinking about it, no healing. Why? Because any of the above will cause your body to excrete a little bit of cortisol and adrenaline, which keeps you in some version of fight or flight, which means you're now not engaging your parasympathetic nervous system, and you can only heal when your parasympathetic nervous system is engaged. So, fight to one degree or another, or think about fighting, or heal. One of the two, you can't do both. Hey, this is Mark Hutton. Would you like to schedule a one-on-one Zoom call? Okay, it's so simple. Just look under any of my videos in the description area. Click on this Calendly link. Now you see my calendar. Pick your month, your day, any time that's available. Enter your name and email address. Then you'll get a follow-up email with the Zoom link on the day and time that you picked. And voila, we will talk.